So now let's talk about smart contracts. A smart contract is just a computer program that somebody's written and uploaded to the blockchain. The blockchain ensures that the smart contract executes as written. Now, a smart contract is actually not very smart, and it's not a legal contract. For example, if somebody writes a smart contract and the intended purpose of that smart contract is to allow you to buy an NFT for 5 ETH, if they have a bug in that program that allows someone to buy that NFT for half an ETH, that's allowed. The smart contract is the final arbiter of truth. There's no judge that you can go to and say, it was supposed to be 5 ETH, I want my 5 ETH. If it was written to allow it to be sold for half an ETH, then the blockchain will allow it. A lot of money has been lost on the blockchain and NFTs due to bugs like this. So, unless you're planning to become an NFT and smart contract expert and read through all of the smart contracts you interact with to make sure that they're written properly, it's important to know who wrote the smart contract and what other people think about them. Do they trust that smart contract? Do they trust the project that created it? These are all important questions that don't give you the full answer of whether you should trust a smart contract, but it starts to approach something practical. Now, if you are interested in looking at the actual smart contracts themselves, since they're all on the blockchain, you can view them. Etherscan, for example, allows you to view the smart contract, the code, and even call its different methods to read and to write. Now, in the previous section, I mentioned that the blockchain is actually pretty simple and it only has a few basic rules. Effectively, the blockchain just tracks what's happening on the blockchain. Almost all of the interesting stuff that happens with NFTs is implemented in smart contracts. In fact, smart contracts are what make NFTs possible. There are a couple standards that you've probably heard. In Ethereum, it's called ERC 721 or 1155. And in the Tezos world, it's TZIP 21 and TZIP 1.2. In general, these are standards that define what makes an NFT an NFT. But within those standards, there's a lot of wiggle room. People write their NFT contracts very differently. Marketplaces usually have their own NFT contract that they use when an artist mints on their marketplace. Some projects, like Bored Ape Yacht Club or CryptoPunks, write their own smart contracts just for that product. Artists also could use their own smart contracts. It's becoming increasingly popular as more people use Manifold, which allows artists to create and deploy their own smart contracts to the blockchain. So, there are a lot of smart contracts out there that you might need to study. Interestingly, many marketplaces allow people to buy and sell NFTs that were not minted with that marketplace's smart contract. OpenSea is a great example of this. They allow you to buy and sell almost any NFT, no matter who minted it or how. That means that it's actually a little bit more complicated for a collector. Just because you bought an NFT on OpenSea doesn't mean that that NFT is using the OpenSea contract. You actually have to figure out which contract it's using to determine whether you can trust that NFT. So, what can smart contracts actually do? Well, they can kind of do anything, but there are a few common things that you should keep an eye out for and a few questions that you should ask. First, can anybody besides me change my NFT? Often, an artist has the ability to change the NFT. Usually, the smart contract will include a feature that allows the artist to say, I'm done modifying this NFT, here's the final version, it'll never change again. And that feature takes away the artist's ability to make further changes. That's called freezing. Another thing that a smart contract could do is allow somebody to pause any future transactions on this NFT. If it's determined that this NFT is a copy minted work, or if there's some other problem with it, a marketplace might go in and freeze transactions. If that ability exists, you should know about it. Another big one is the ability to completely delete or burn the NFT without your knowledge. Some smart contracts allow the marketplace or perhaps a DAO or some community group to vote and decide to delete an NFT. If that exists, then you should check it out. In general, you need to know who can change or affect my NFT, under what circumstances, and what specifically can they change. Once you know that, you need to decide for yourself if you trust those people with those abilities. Now, there's one complication to this. Just because today maybe nobody can change anything about your NFT doesn't mean that's necessarily true tomorrow, because many smart contracts are designed to allow them to be upgraded. Marketplaces often include this feature to allow them to fix bugs or to add new features in the future. If a marketplace has an upgradable smart contract, that means they can change how that smart contract works. Just because today they don't have a delete button, it doesn't mean that tomorrow they might add a delete button. So, in addition to asking who can control my NFT today, you need to ask who can control this smart contract, what can they change about it, and do I have any say in the matter? Sometimes they make it so that the changes that are added to the smart contract do not apply to older NFTs. In any case, you need answers to these questions. If it turns out that the smart contract itself can be upgraded, you need to ask yourself whether you trust the folks who are in charge of doing those upgrades.